Welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. We've got Ben on Gyruda Bomberman versus Ted on Eldrazi Stompy. A couple of very spicy decks here. Both play Chalice of the Void. See, Ben fires his off at a Chalice at 1. Plays out 4 pieces of acceleration. Next turn, he could literally cast Gyruda from that command zone. Those Lion's Eye Diamonds, practically Black Lotuses in this situation. Ted with a Chalice of his own and an Umezawa's Jite. So this could literally just win the game. It's a Salvagers. Good stuff. Here he is. Yeah, Cathar Commando coming down first. So there won't be infinite mana this turn. Fair enough, there's actually no Salvagers in the top 4, so worked out for the best getting the extra body on board. No real pressure. It was the final turn in time in a tournament setting. You know, sometimes you got to go a little bit faster, but when your opponent doesn't even have a creature on board in this matchup, you can take a little bit of extra time, especially the value that Cathar Commando can potentially bring getting rid of this Jite, which could be a big problem. Plus 1 a 6/6. Aussie Temples and Ancient Tomb. 3 lands, but each of them tap for 2. Big boy. Evugan's going to make future Endless Ones even bigger if it comes to that. And just equipping and passing. Trade. Ooh. That is rough. Karn. Absolute haymaker here. Gets rid of the Chalice at 0. Access that toolbox. Sideboard. Chalice at 0 gets replayed, but killed each turn with this Karn with his +1. Karn's also going to stop the activated ability of that equipment and artifacts that Ted might have, like Walking Ballista. There you go. So with just 1 counter. A little bit of a liability here. Down to just 7 life. He does not want to get KO'd by this companion. All right. Endbringer, that's an answer. Potentially keep Ted alive. Ooh, and Mycosynth Lattice. Now this is a problem. So now Ted not going to be able to tap any of his lands for mana, not going to be able to use any activated abilities, as everything's an artifact. Oh, that's fun. Eldrazi Mimic. That's fairly unusual. That doesn't happen very often. Right, so Gyruda is going to trade with the Endless One, that Eldrazi Mimic. Usually you don't see any additional things committed to the board, as mana can't be used for the most part. A Walking Ballista at 3. Karn blows up that Eye of Ugin. Eldrazi Mimic. Not looking super strong here. I suspect we'll see a Walking Ballista block this thing. So Cathar Commando sticking around. Not actually sure if that was totally optimal That Walking Ballista could have gotten larger. Could have done the final damage. Oh, but we're actually done. Moving on to the next one. A really fun way to end that game, animating Mycosynth Lattice and attacking with it to do the final damage. Unusual line. You don't usually see it, but it is something to consider. Mycosynth Lattice does have a very beefy mana value. Seeing that animated closeout games. A line you can take. Our Commando being able to blow up any of your opponent's creatures is pretty strong as well. Yeah, Mycosynth Lattice. It's a brutal magic card. Kind of funny too that all cards that aren't in play, spells and permanents are colorless. It's a really interesting additional line. Kind of feels like a throwaway. It was just kind of like flavor driven, but man, does that end up impacting the game, stopping cards like Force of Will, Force of Vigor especially. Graveyard strategies looking to do things like Recur Icarid. All of those cards in the graveyard are colorless, so you can't pay the cost. Yeah, it's really strong. Got a Ingenious Smith versus Ratchet Bomb, very low to the ground. Instead, not having the explosive mana that he did last game. Dallas at 0 does a lot of work, though. Not the hardest thing to answer, but does slow things down until it's answered. Man, things could turn south very quickly. It is answered. Ratchet Bomb ticking up. Ratchet Bomb and Powder Keg. Kind of, somewhat interchangeable. Let me know which one you like more. Oh, look at all these artifacts and a couple of salvagers and a Walking Ballista. Lion's Eye Diamond. This would be game over if it wasn't for that Dallas. Instead, Ben's basically got some 2/4s for 4, which does line up pretty well against a 3/2. Sorceress Spyglass. Presumably naming Salvagers, as we just saw Walking Ballista go face. And Salvagers is still pretty beefy. Don't expect winning a race. Oh, Ted actually cashing out his Matter Reshaper. Hitting a Thorn of Amethyst. That might actually not help him too much. Any other type of answers or... Oh, there you go. Ratchet Bomb. Like, that's not going to work. He's got to play an Endless one as just a 2/2. Had really restrained on mana. Endless one wants tons and tons of mana. And he's got another one. Puts kind of a dangerous double blocking situation if Salvagers does attack. Double block. Would clear one of them. Last zone could be an answer. Another Endless one. This is not how these tribal decks usually play out. There's apparently tribal Endless one and tribal Salvagers. Another Thorn of Amethyst. A really muddled board. Last zone is a potential way out. Endless one. Gonna go ahead and take a Karn, but there's still another one in hand. Slanting Ben down to just 2 Cavern of Souls as his mana. to play through these Thorns. Fear Resistance, a much stronger card. Thorn does kind of have no downside in the aggro decks that run it. I mean, I shouldn't say no downside. They do stop you from casting cards like Ratchet Bomb and additional Thorns. Chalice of the Void. There's some non-creature spells. Perhaps Dismember, spot removal. Matter Reshaper joins the fray. Then able to trade off that second Salvagers for the Thought-Knot Seer. Smith. Can certainly become a problem. And throwing his Matter Reshapers under the bus. But he does hit a land drop this time. Human Wasteland. City of Traders doesn't feel great to Wasteland. It's very often the right play. There's just something about it when you're kind of starting out in Legacy. It feels bad to Wasteland a City of Traders because, if they play a land, it's going to go away anyways. Okay, you're still getting rid of their soul land. Getting rid of 2 mana for 1. There are times where you can force the situation. Messy. They have to play a non-basic to kind of ramp up a single turn, getting to 4 mana, for example, to play a Karn. Sack their own city, then following up with a Wasteland can be devastating as long as you can answer the play that they were willing to put themselves into such a precarious state for. A lot of the times when they kind of leapfrog up, it's to make a play that isn't going to care so much about Wasteland. Walking Ballista pumping itself up in response to Sorcerer's Spyglass. Ballista's not going to be able to go face, which is a good save, seeing as how Ted's at 3 life thanks to repeated Ancient Tombs. And damage he needs to find a way to deal. Sorcerer's Spyglass really keeping him alive here. Actually, Cathar Commando can blow it up. Is this just going to be the game right here? If Ben gets to add a counter to that Walking Ballista, he can do the final 3 damage. Ratchet Bomb. Ben doesn't have enough mana to pump up the Ballista to lethal here. Wow. Ratchet Bomb. Brutal there. Takes out just about everything. And then Auriok Salvagers comes in for the final blow. Oh, that was a really interesting game. A lot of decision points from some decks that we don't get to see that often.